Oh, was somebody talking about that thing Gayfesh posted about earlier? The like new VDS thing? Let me see. I think I liked that, so it should be. If any of you wonder where ENK got the name Vaush, naming to respect people's muted words, it's from a holy dude. Can you imagine being this cucked? It's from a comic character he created of a black fascist woman who hates herself. Weird, not surprising. Why I don't say his name anymore. How do people like this not just kill themselves every morning at the sheer like inconvenience and oppression factor having to like wake up and shit and brush their teeth? Well, I don't understand. Holy shit. Is it true? The allegations are true. What's the real story? I don't remember. Okay, as a gay theater kid, I like the idea of making comics, and I had an idea in which there in a single city that towered over the post-apocalyptic landscape, there was a character called Vakanida, and she was one of the familial hierarchy that ruled over the city, and she was the military advisor, and she was a fascist, and she was, yes, a black woman, though that was very incidental to anything having to do with her personality. Um, and she did hate herself because she was very mentally unstable. And over the course of the story, she would get more unstable and more fascist until suddenly and very abruptly she would be less stable and less fascist because she would be dead. And the idea was that it's bad to be fascist. There, I've summarized it down to its sort of fundamental there. Was she hot? Of course she would be hot. Obviously. What am I, a monster? I don't understand what the problem is. Digital blackface, maybe? I don't know. What's the hater self part? Man, it's a whole story. It's complicated. It's a whole thing. I feel like I'm cheapening it enough, just sort of iterating it. It's a whole thing. It is the prerogative of the fascist to hate themselves. Have you ever met a fascist who did not? They all have a sort of archetypal ideal, a behavioral and aesthetic ideal that no human can actually live to. And depending on how aware they are of that incongruity, they hate themselves to varying degrees. They're incapable of accepting themselves as human because their ideology is fundamentally inhuman. All these themes and more in one of many narrative efforts on my part to explore reasons I dislike fascism. All right. No, that's fine, Strahd Cumsock. Everyone uses the Desert Sorceress set in Dark Souls 2. Essentializing a bit, some fascists are good. Yeah. Vaush, was this her? Yes, this was her. This was art that I did for the story. No, the idea was that she represented more a kind of proto-racial fascism. The fascism of people who pretend to not be concerned with race or ethnicity. Obviously they are, but they pretend not to be, and are appealing rather to some kind of like pseudo-Nietzschean, like innate human ideal that they strive to maximize or whatever. And and the idea would be that because I like anime, obviously, there would be people with superhuman abilities, one of whom was her brother, and her brother was naturally lackadaisical. I mean, practically a stoner, but naturally confident and competent and physically perfect in almost every way. And our main character, Vakanida, uh, simultaneously idealizes and hates him for this fact because he is at once a representation of the physical ideal while also wasting it with his lackadaisy. So she hates him for that, and she hates herself because even though she spent her entire life striving to be a perfect human, she is literally biologically incapable of having the powers that he has. And as a product of that, he represents a kind of impossible ideal for her to achieve. So she spends a good portion of the story using whatever methods are at her disposal to become more powerful. And in doing so, she destroys herself. The grand irony of her arc would have been that one of the greatest, I guess, presumptions of fascism is the idea that not all humans are born equal, that some people are better than other people, and that this is a fact that, ironically, Vakanida learns as she has her fascist ideology critiqued, because she arrogantly assumes that because she is part of the ruling aristocracy, she must have the genetic precursor for being superior to others, but she does not. In death, she realizes, in fact, that she was not equal to the others, that though she may have been smarter and more quick witted and you know, uh, uh, I guess, well-minded than them, she could never be as strong as them. And so an expression of her ideological preconception ends up challenging her ideology itself. You see? You see the idea? This is an archetype. The fascists struggling to understand, to reconcile their ideology with their physical inferiority to others. Yes? You could have the same story done on a much lower level with a person who is a committed ideological fascist but is also disabled. How, the fact that they are disabled is of great inconvenience to them ideologically, because it is a constant reminder that they are not part of the upper class, which they are meant to be a part of through their understanding ideologically. Well, sure, go for it, Strad Comstock. So is she a girl boss? She is a girl boss, yes. Getting flashbacks to my English major courses at uni. I came up with a story like 8 years ago. I have better stories now. Um, Valkanida exists now entirely in the bastardization of the name that my channel has taken. That's a different character, Kanya. Also, that drawing has titties. In what way is Nietzsche tired of fascism? Nietzsche's sister presented his works as a way of reaffirming her Nazi sympathies. Nietzsche is well loved by fascists because they misunderstand what he wrote. That's true, Pareto Southern. A better comparison would be how the Nazis had that Aryan master race crap when like none of their leaders seemed to match it. No. I think it's fun to make fun of that, but I do not think that is a good critique. Because to the fascist, if you pointed out that Hitler was this like wiry little beady-eyed bug man, they would say, ah, ideologically he may have been pure, but physically there are better specimens. I would have been the better specimen. You reaffirm only the internal drive to power. The idea that he's an expression of the value, but you could have like a more physically pure expression. Okay, we're getting way into the weeds now. We're getting way into the weeds now. Stop. Italy. Where's Italy? What's in Italy?